Hey folks, welcome back to Pocketshooters, the show that's all about mastering mobile photography. I'm here with my brilliant co-host, Mr. Giulio Shurio. What's up, G?
What's up?
This is a sad episode, man. This
It
is
is.
sad. It's the end of a micro era. So this is our season finale of Pocketshooters, but we also want to squeeze one last tip in here that we thought would be helpful for folks. But also, this is going to be the last show in this season. Pocketshooters by no means is going away, but this season of Pocketshooters, this is the last episode. Then the show will go away for I think about 3 weeks or so, or maybe a month, and then it will come back stronger than ever with brand new content for season 2 of Pocketshooters. But Julio, one of the topics on this particular show is quick draw McGraw. So, and basically it's about being ready for getting the shot. iPhones and Android phones have excelled at making it relatively easy for you to get that shot. You know, you see a giant, animal running across the road in front of you. You don't want to be fumbling with your phone trying to find the phone app, get it launched, get it ready, and then crickets, right? So what are some tips from Giulio Shurio, the master of mobile photography, for being quick draw ready?
Well, the master is going to tell you got to learn how to walk across rice paper without leaving a trace before you can dodge spears. But
the master will arrive when the student is ready.
First thing is, if you have one of the newer phones, this is an iPhone 6 Plus.
Yeah,
they're slippery. They're slippery. So if you're gonna, this side's fallen into my couch, and I went the other day and I go to grab it and slipped out of my hand and launched across the room. And near my son, I was like, oh my God, if it hit him in a, so they're slippery. They're beautiful, but they're slippery. So for shooting quick, just get a case that you may not like. I don't use my case all the time. I don't use it all the time, but sometimes I do.
I use mine all the time, dude.
What case is that anyways?
This is the Apple case. This is the standard.
I don't see the Apple logo. There's the Apple logo. Okay.
It's just beat to all hell because I use it all the time. Yeah. And I for me, I don't know about you, but I have really dry skin. So my hands are always dry. Dry hands have very little grip when it comes to holding slippery objects. So I put this on there, and it's got a little bit of grip, and I can hold it. I don't feel like I'm going to lose it. Plus, I get to treat my camera phone, like a tool rather than a precious, expensive object, and I'm not afraid to put it down. I can just, I throw it around, and I know it's going to be perfectly fine when I get ready to sell it to get the next phone.
Yeah, so great point. So yeah, definitely use a case. Use a case. That's the best thing, and then just understand how your phone in particular works. So I think with iOS 10, what is it? It's a click and then to the right. So you kind of swipe to the right, and then boom, you got your camera going right there. So it's that's all. It's not a difficult thing to do. Just be ready and always keep your eye out. And I would say this: like I keep my phone, I believe, usually in my front pocket, so it's always ready. Mainly because I'm always using it. So just always be seeing, always be looking, and then so the quick draw, I guess, kind of starts with your eyes first, and then your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things that you might want to know is if you have a phone that supports force touch, you can force touch on the camera icon, like I'm doing. Let's see if we can show that. So there's my camera icon right there. If you can see that. So if I force touch on it, like that. Oh, wait, there you go. Force touch on it. You can't see that, but maybe you can see it, but it popped up a quick menu that says take photo, record slow-mo, record video, and take selfie. So I can quickly get into those menus without having to launch the camera, then scroll through the options in the camera. I can just press and hold, move my finger up to the one I want, boom, and I'm in that particular mode, ready to take a photo. The other thing is, like Giulio said, when you're in the lock screen, especially on iOS 10 on iOS on the Mac phones or on the iPhone, if you slide and you go into the camera, which is cool. So I'm in the camera mode now. You go horizontal like this. The up volume button on your phone acts as a shutter release. So You don't have to press this button, which could introduce shake into your photo as you try to reach to find the photo button, you know, however you're holding your phone. But if you're holding it like a normal camera, just like this is how we hold cameras, and use the up volume button, I'm taking photos. Like I'm taking photos of you right now by just pressing that button. And I got the photo just like that.
And if you hold the button down, it has a continuous frame advance.
Oh yeah,
which is handy. And then it all stores as, it looks like one photo, but if you go into it, you could access the other images. You can turn them into animated GIFs, which I have a really neat app that does that. But you can actually hear it. Let me raise the volume here and see if we could hear it. Oops, I was taking photos. Nope, there you go. You hear that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So you can hear it. That kind of helps too. You know, so take a bunch, and if you don't like it, delete it. The nice thing is when you shoot in a sequence, the software will choose the best one for you.
Yeah.
What it thinks is the best, and most of the time it's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Those are really good tips on, you know, just quick draw. You know, we don't need to belabor the point, but you know, just be ready. Obviously, you want to make sure your phone is charged all the time, right? Because you don't want to be that person that's, you know, a great shot passes you by because you ignored your phone's warnings and you were on 4% and then it went to 0 quickly. So that's when you have a doorstop and your phone is no longer good to anyone. So yeah, definitely keep it charged. When I travel, I take a little portable charger with me so that I can plug it in and charge up my phone on the go. I don't have to be the person searching for an outlet in the airport or whatever. I can just juice up my phone with a battery that's already in my bag. And, you know, depending on the other cameras that you have, like this camera, this is one of my other cameras. This is the Lumix GX8. I can also charge the camera with an external battery. So I can plug it into an external battery pack and charge that phone on the go as well as my other devices. So, you know, just keep those kind of things in mind. Power is important when you're a pocket shooter because all bets are off if your phone is dead. And then the other thing, if you drained your phone because you're a pocket shooter, you've been taking photos all day and taking videos and time lapse and all that stuff. At a certain point, you're going to want to use your phone as a phone, and you don't want to be in a critical situation without battery because you've been out all day shooting. So just be cognizant of that, and you know, maybe invest in a cheap battery. Gee, you carry a battery around when you travel, right?
Yeah, I have this neat Panasonic that I got as a door prize actually at an event, and it's actually, you can plug it into the wall and it'll charge as a charger 2 devices through USB, so I can charge my GX85 internally and my phone simultaneously, or phone or iPad or whatever, or I even use it with the DxO1, and then on top of that, it's a battery pack. So in a pinch, it's great. In fact, I was on leading a photo walk yesterday, and my buddy's GX85 went dead. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't bring an extra battery." He's like, "No problem, plug it in." And within 10 minutes, he had 2 more bars. So
Yeah,
they're handy.
You
You
become a
can
hero.
get crazy with these things. You can get like giant ones. I mean, it's all depending on what you want to carry. I like this little one I have, but I would like to know what you guys are using. If you have a cool option that you just are in love with, leave us a comment on YouTube or wherever you're watching this, because I'm curious. And I know Frederick's curious, but you know, because there's so many options. Like what's really good and what's not so good. I think,
And it changes. It keeps changing all the time.
Man, it does. And which are you guys using? Cases, battery cases? I used to use them. I don't use them anymore, but I'm curious.
Well, dude, let's review the season since this is the season finale. Let's review.
All right.
Because we talked about a lot of stuff over season 1 of Pocket Shooter. So let's review. So I think we kicked off with iPhone 7 when we launched the series. It was around the time when the iPhone 7 had been released, right? Are you how are you feeling about the iPhone 7 now?
I think it's a fantastic device. I will probably get one at some point, but I didn't get one on launch day. And as of this recording, I still do not have one. So I don't know. I mean, as long as I don't go in the Apple store, I'm safe.
You know, I thought that. And then I was talking to Leo Laporte, who runs This Week in Tech. And I was co-hosting one of his shows with him a couple days ago. And he's the tech guy. He got one. So I was looking at it, and yeah, the camera obviously is a pocket shooter camera. It's amazing, no doubt. But this camera is still pretty good too. in this. This is the 6S Plus, and it is a fantastic camera. So I think I'm with you. I think I'm gonna hold off for a few minutes, and see what comes up next. I'm gonna see how far I can make it, G. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Only a
see
year, man.
I'm gonna see how far I can make it before upgrading to iPhone 7, and if it makes sense. If I can make it more than halfway through the year or through the cycle, then it might as well wait for iPhone 8, right? And then because the rumor is they're gonna make some really big changes on iPhone 8, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing. If you're 6 months into a year product cycle, stop. Don't do anything. Don't do, and that's that's the thing. So six months from now is when you're going to start to see all the cool accessories for the 7.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
gonna
kind of
get
strange.
hard.
Like, right, like I would buy a 6S, 6S Plus today if it was more discounted than just like $100 from the 7, because I want a few of the features that it has. But my 6 Plus still rocks, man.
Yeah, they're rocking camera. Yeah, so don't feel like that. Oh, I can't get great shots because I don't have the iPhone 7 yet. If you have an iPhone all the way back to almost 4, or better, your cameras are pretty good in those cameras. So don't use that as an excuse for you not to be out there shooting, because you can do some really cool stuff. All right, Lightroom Mobile. We talked about Lightroom Mobile that shoots, you can now, if you use the Lightroom Mobile camera app that gets installed when you put Lightroom Mobile on your device, you can shoot in RAW or Adobe's digital negative format, DNG, right? Have you been using that at all?
I haven't, because it only works with the 6S on up.
Oh, really? Oh.
Right. And it works with an iPad Pro 9.7, not the 12.9, and I have the 12.9. I'm like,
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
I was kind of bummed for a second, but when we started talking about this, and this kind of leads into the next thing we covered, I was like, well, I have a DxO1, so I got better RAW files than the iPhone 7 will do, and probably better than the iPhone 8 is going to do.
Yeah.
I got it today.
You already got it. Yeah. So no excuses. Once again, no excuses.
No.
Oh, I can't do this because I don't have that. You have that. You can do stuff.
Yeah, and I tell you, I know the iPhone 7's rad, but if I had a choice between an iPhone 7 and this, just for the purpose of cameras, I would take the 1.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow. All right. Well, let's talk about that. The DxO1. What are the advantages of getting that thing?
Well, you get real bokeh for starters versus simulated bokeh. You have a larger sensor. You can shoot in low light. You can shoot RAW in camera. The selfies are phenomenal compared to the front-facing camera of the phone, because you basically just turn the camera around. And it's got Wi-Fi built in. So if you want to, basically, you're docking your spaceship, right? Swing my arm around here. Boom. And then if you set up your Wi-Fi and then you pull off, and your screen still works, and then you can take this underwater with accessories, baby camera. I mean, it's a really, really neat iPhone accessory.
Yeah, I agree. I have one as well, and yeah, they've got lots of cool accessories. I think you can probably even see mine up there somewhere. Yeah, they've got lots of cool accessories like the underwater housing, an add-on to the front of it so that you can put little filters on there, like neutral density filters, to allow you to control the amount of light coming in and maybe do long exposures, those sorts of things. And they also, I think one of the more important pieces that they announced was a little thing that clamps onto the bottom that gives you a tripod mount. So now not only can you just set it on the desk so it stands up, but you can put it on one of those mounts or any tripod mount that you have available, which goes in with the whole long exposure thing and get some really, really insanely professional looking images that I don't think are possible with just an iPhone, even an iPhone 7. So yeah, I think it's a cool piece of kit.
And because the image quality, I mean, it's the same sensor as like in the Sony RX100.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if it's the same exact. It's the same size. I'll say it's the same size as the newly announced Lumix LX10. So I had a friend of mine the other day who's going to a Kanye West concert, and they're like, "You cannot bring a dedicated camera. It cannot look like a camera." So I'm like, "Take the DxO1." Solution.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, take the DxO1. Cool, man. All right, so let's blow through the rest of these things. This was an awesome season. This was a good foundation of just basics. And as we move into these next seasons, we'll be niching down a little bit and talking about, like technique and focusing in on different pieces of hardware and that sort of thing. But we kept it relatively high level on purpose for this first season. And one of the things we talked about was the idea of shooting with a theme. right? So
Mhm.
and that was the idea of not go, like I said in a previous episode, don't throw yourself behind enemy lines without any sort of strategy for creating images. You agree with that, right, G?
Yeah, you want kind of, there's themes, and then I use the word intention, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
go out and I'll say I'll just say bold color. Don't get more complicated than that. Bold color. Keep that in mind, and as you're creating bold color, you'll see other things that'll pop up. If we're creating casually, then you're kind of it's like a buckshot approach. You just kind of you get what you get. There's no focus. But if you want to grow as an artist, you got to create with intention. So day after day, it's like exercise. Day
Yep.
after day, you're creating with intention, and then once in a while you give yourself a day off, and then you'll see all sorts of new stuff again, and then you start to process over.
Yep. Love it. Love it. And then we also talked about simplification and the whole less is more. And that ties into the idea of shooting with a theme or shooting with intention, right?
Oh yeah,
Simplification. So that's the whole idea of, you don't need to have everything in your scene. And if even if you just have to take a couple steps forward to simplify, and to bring more of your subject into the scene and less of the surrounding area, that can do wonders to increase the quality and the interestingness of your photos, right?
100%. I mean, there's the old rule I learned at the Nikon school, and I think you actually mentioned it during the recording, was get close and then get closer. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a great one. And you should try. If you're not sure, get close and then get even closer. Unless you're like, bears or tigers, then get farther and then get farther back.
Yeah, yeah. Everything has a caveat attached to it. So composition and varying your angles, we talked about in two of our episodes separately, and that's the using rules, using rules, but then knowing when to break those rules, right? Composition and doing interesting things with your angles so that I think we said in that one episode, if your back doesn't hurt when you're getting a shot, you're not doing it right. So
Yeah. I mean, good composition is good composition across any camera and any era in photography.
yep, totally. And then we covered in-camera HDR. We talked about when to zoom and when not to zoom. We dove deeper into the rule of thirds and when to use it and when to break it and what it is. And we spent a lot of time on printing, which was really cool. And I learned you have a area in your loft that's covered in prints, right, G?
I do, and it's mostly prints in my Impossible lab, and then some stuff from Artifact Uprising. I like to keep it simple. There's all sorts of cool things to print, but those are the ones that I use. And in that episode we talked about what other ones are
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, we talked about the Fuji Instax SP1 and SP2, which uses Fuji film. We talked about the Impossible Instant Lab that you use
Mm-hmm.
for printing, and yeah, there's lots of options out there. But I think the overall takeaway from that episode was, don't necessarily feel that your images need to remain trapped in the digital universe. You can set them free and let them live a completely different and maybe even more appreciated life in the real world, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Cool. So that was printing. Then we talked about tripods and mounting accessories and some of the new things that you can do by just using some sort of stabilization on your camera. And you swear by this. I learned something new, that you don't go anywhere without a tripod, right?
Yeah, I used to not be like this. My buddy, who I know, Levi Sim, he
Mm-hmm.
goes everywhere with a tripod. And at first I was like, this guy's nuts. And then I started like realizing that I'm losing shots, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start carrying a tripod. So I carry the three-legged thing by Leo. That's a really good looking tripod and very functional, and it's fun. It's nice to have. But even when that's just a little more than I want to carry from going to a grocery store, I'll carry like a little. I have a Joby, one with the magnets on the bottom that I can use even as a hand grip for the phone if I need to.
Yep.
And then I attach it to the shoulder pod S1.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a whole new world we're cracking into with all this cool stuff. Hope we're not blowing people's minds with all these different options. They're like, oh, I thought it was just phone.
If your mind is blown, please hang up and dial 911.
Exactly. Cool. This is good stuff, man. Gee, I want to thank you for all your work and collaboration and friendship on this first season. I think this show, like I said, and when we launched it, is important to the TWiP network just because mobile phone photography is underserved and under talked about. We tend to, the industry as a whole tends to spend a lot of time talking about drones, talking about mirrorless cameras, talking about DSLRs, video, all these different things. And the one camera device that everyone, for the most part, has are these phones, right? And now we have a show that's dedicated to it. So I'm excited about where this whole movement and the Pocketshooters community and universe is going to go. And you were 100% instrumental in making all this happen, from co-hosting the show with me to also, doing interviews that are in the TWiP school to all this stuff. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the invitation to co-host with you, because there was not even an option of no. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's do it, because this stuff is so much fun. It's democratizing, and with TWiP being the #1 photography podcast network in the world, which is just so badass. So you built that we know we're going to be able to reach a lot of people and inspire people, and that just is. I know it sounds silly, but it feels good to know that people can get inspired to create regardless of what gear you have, because gear is fun, but it can be expensive. Let's be real. So Make sure you create, no matter what. Be creating, because life is short, and you want to have a little something left over when you're done.
I love it. And I think those are the perfect words to end the season on. So Julia Shorio, thank you. Thank you to the Pocketshooter audience and Pocketshooter community. Thank you to all of our patrons that supported the show. And thank you to all the folks that purchased the Pocketshooters course through the TWiP school. This is not goodbye of Pocketshooters, of course. Like I said, we are just going on a short hiatus while we spin up for the next season of Pocketshooters, which, of course, knowing Julio and I, will need to be something even, to use a Julio word, radder than this first season.
It's got to be radder. And
radder a word? Is that legal?
It is now. So, and this is where we really need your guys' help. So we want to know what you want to hear about. What's no one talking about? And what's like the really juicy stuff that you want to hear? Do you want to hear more about how professionals are using smartphones in their workflows, or how they're working with traditional cameras with smartphones? What apps? Tell us what you love to use, and tell us what you love to hear about. And then Frederick and I will take the lead and dive in. And we can't do it unless you guys are supporting of us through through Patreon. I know we keep talking about that, but what this means is we love doing this. This is so much fun, but I'm here in the studio, right? This is my office in the studio that I'm renting, and basically means that we have to stop doing the work that we normally do to bring in income to do this. And so we love to do this, but we need grease. We need grease to keep the wheels moving. If you know,
grease is the word. Yeah. Is the word.
So we want to thank you in advance for your support. This is, it's a bold move on our part, bold move on TWiP's part. It's so awesome. I'm not going to say any more, because I'm going to get emotional.
Oh, you're going to get misstated. We're not going away permanently. We're just going away for a minute, and then we'll be back, and then we'll be crushing it. This Pocketshooters will be, what is TWiP? TWiP is at episode 483 as we record this. So Pocketshooters, we got a long way to go to catch up with This Week in Photo. So, I think it's all good. Cool, man. All right. With that, we'll say so long for now, and we'll see you in season 2 of Pocketshooters.